My husband was ready to adopt my daughter, then her bio dad suddenly reappeared. She calls my husband Dad. Her real father vanished years ago, until now. Suddenly she wants to meet him, and I'm terrified the past might undo the family we fought to build. My daughter calls my husband Dad. Not Mike. Not stepdad. Not some nickname like Pops or Uncle Daddy. Just Dad. Because that's what he's been, for 7 of her 8 years. He taught her how to ride a bike. Took her to her first dentist appointment. He's the one who makes pancakes on Saturdays and always cuts them into funny shapes. She writes, "I love you, Dad," on Father's Day cards with little hearts over the eyes. If you saw them together, you'd think they share DNA. Mannerisms, jokes, the way they both do that same exasperated sigh when I ask them to fold laundry. It's uncanny. And honestly, I thought we were good. Solid. Complete. Until a name showed up on my phone that I hadn't seen in 6 years. Jesse Bio Dad. That's how he's still saved in my contacts. I stared at the notification for a full minute before I even remembered how to breathe. Jesse and I were never married. We were barely even together, if I'm honest. We dated in that messy, reckless way people do in their early 20s, on and off, passionate, full of big words and empty promises. When I got pregnant, he told me he'd step up. He lasted 4 months. After she was born, he saw her twice. Then he ghosted. No drama. No custody fight. Just gone. I sent photos, updates, birthday invitations, silence. Eventually I stopped. Mike entered our lives when my daughter was still in pull-ups. He didn't flinch, didn't hesitate. He just showed up and kept showing up. And Jesse? Became a memory I never wanted to explain. 3 weeks ago, Mike brought it up at dinner. We just finished eating. My daughter was in the other room singing off-key to a cartoon. He reached across the table, touched my hand and said, "I want to adopt her." My heart jumped. He'd never pressured me before. Never even hinted. But I could tell he'd been thinking about it for a while. I want to make it official. Not for me, for her. So she never has to wonder. I nodded. I think she'd love that. He smiled. We didn't need to say more. Until the text. Just said, "Hey, I heard you're married. I'd like to reconnect. Can we talk?" I didn't reply. Instead, I sat on the edge of the tub while my daughter brushed her teeth and watched her in the mirror. This little human who had no idea her past was trying to claw its way into her present. She doesn't remember him. She's seen pictures. Heard me say his name in passing. But that's it. No memories. No connection. And now I'm here. Holding this message like a bomb. Trying to figure out if I should cut the red wire or the blue one. I told Mike that night. He went still. Not angry. Just unreadable. What does he want? I don't know. Does she know? No. Are you going to let him back in? That's when I realized I didn't have an answer. Because this isn't just my story. It's hers. And no matter how much I want to protect her, I can't control how this plays out. I responded to Jesse's message 3 days later. It took me that long to figure out how to say anything without my fingers shaking. Every draft sounded too polite or too cold. Eventually I just typed, "This is unexpected. What do you want to talk about?" He replied right away. "I know I messed up. I don't expect anything. I just want to know her. Even just a little." The message made me sick. Because it was reasonable. And that's what made it harder. I told Mike. He didn't yell. He didn't storm out. He just stared ahead and said, "You know how I feel." "I do," I said. "I love her like she's mine. She is yours." Then why does he get a say now? I didn't have an answer. Because legally? He does get a say. Even after years of silence. Even after walking away. If I try to move forward with adoption, we'd have to get Jesse to sign away parental rights. If he doesn't, we can't move forward. Jesse asked to meet. Alone. No pressure. Just to talk. We met at a park, neutral ground, quiet. I wore sunglasses and brought a sweater even though it was warm. I didn't want to look casual. I didn't want to look open. He showed up 5 minutes early. Same nervous smile I remembered. Slightly older. A little softer around the eyes. "I didn't think you'd come," he said. "I almost didn't." He nodded. "I deserve that." We sat. He launched into a speech. How he regretted leaving. How he was young and scared. How he's changed. How he's sober now. How he's steady. I don't expect to be Dad. I know that's not my place. But I want to show up, if you'll let me. I asked him the one thing that had been burning in me for years. Why now? He looked at the ground. I saw a picture of her online. A family friend posted it. I didn't recognize her. And it destroyed me. That hit me harder than I expected. Because it was honest. And honesty's harder to dismiss than silence. I didn't say yes. But I didn't say no. I just told him I needed time. That this isn't something you walk into with good intentions and a smile. This is a little girl. A family. A life. And one wrong move could shatter everything. He nodded. I get it. Just keep me in the loop? I said I would. Then I left. And sat in my car for 10 minutes, wondering if I just made the biggest mistake of my life, or done the right thing for someone who finally wanted to do the right thing too. That night Mike was quiet. He cooked dinner like normal. We watched TV like normal. But the space between us felt different. Finally he said, if he wants back in, does that mean I have to step back? I looked at him. The man who held our daughter while she had a fever. Who built her bed. Who taught her how to write her name. No, I said. You don't step back. Not ever. But he's her father. You're her dad. He didn't reply. But I saw the tears he tried to blink away. My daughter doesn't know yet. She's happy. Secure. She thinks the man who raised her is the only one who ever mattered. And I don't want to be the one to open the door to a man who left. But I also don't want to be the one who keeps her from a truth that might one day matter more than I can predict. This isn't a decision anymore. It's a choice between two risks. Letting someone back in who could hurt her again. Or shutting him out and dealing with the consequences when she asks, why didn't you give me a chance to know him? She asked me out of nowhere. We were sitting on the floor of her room, surrounded by markers and glitter glue, making cards for her class Valentine's Day party. She was cutting a heart shape and said casually, like she was asking what's for dinner. Mom, did I have a different dad when I was a baby? I didn't move. Didn't breathe. Just stared at the scissors in her hand and the half-cut paper heart on the carpet and thought, here it is. It's starting. I asked slowly, why do you ask? She shrugged. I don't know. I was looking at baby pictures and there's none with dad in them. Just you. And me. And one man I didn't know. I had to say something. So I told the truth. Sort of. That's Jesse. He's the dad who helped make you. But he wasn't around when you were little. She frowned. Was he mean? No. Not mean. Just, not ready. She thought about that for a second. Then asked, does he know me? Another pause. He knows of you. And he wants to get to know you now. That's when she went quiet. Which is almost worse than when she's upset. Quiet means she's processing. Connecting dots. Thinking deeper than any 8-year-old should have to. Later that night she asked Mike the same question. I listened from the hallway. Were you there when I was born? Mike answered softly, no, I wasn't. I didn't know you yet. Were you sad? Yeah. I wish I had been. Do I have to call Jesse Dad too? That one gutted me. Mike waited a moment, then said, you can call people whatever feels right to you. And that was the most generous thing he could have said. Because I know how much it killed him to even imagine sharing that title. The next morning she asked if she could see Jesse. I asked why. She shrugged. I just want to know who he is. Like, what his voice sounds like. And that's when I knew this wasn't about replacing Mike. It was about filling a gap she'd only just realized was there. Not because she was unhappy, but because she was curious. And curiosity, when it comes to identity, doesn't go away. So I texted Jesse. She wants to meet. He replied instantly. Tell me when and where. We chose a coffee shop. Bright, public, simple. She picked out her favorite hoodie and a glittery hair clip. She asked if he liked chocolate chip muffins. I didn't even know what to say to that, so I just smiled and said, probably. When he walked in, I saw her straighten up in her chair. He looked nervous, hands shoved in pockets, that same sheepish smile. I introduced them and she said, hi. I guess I'm your kid. It broke something in all of us. They talked for 20 minutes. She asked about his job. His favorite color. If he liked space stuff like she did. He did his best to answer, but you could tell he was overwhelmed. Trying so hard not to cry. Trying so hard not to mess it up. And when she said, okay, I want to go home now, he nodded and said, that's totally okay. No pressure. No guilt trip. Just okay. We drove home in silence. Halfway there she said, he seems nice. But weird. I laughed. That night she didn't bring him up again. Mike didn't ask a single question when we walked in. He was at the table helping her with homework like nothing had changed. But I could tell, something had. The silence between us after she went to bed felt heavier than usual. I said, she was okay. He didn't push. She led the whole thing. Mike nodded. I don't want to lose her, he said. You won't. But in the quiet that followed, I wasn't sure either of us fully believed that. Because this wasn't just about who raised her anymore. It was about what she needed now that she was old enough to start wondering. The second visit was her idea. She asked over breakfast, casually, like she was asking to go to the park. Can I see Jessie again? Mike paused while pouring cereal. I nodded slowly. Sure, honey. If that's what you want. Mike didn't say a word. He didn't need to. I could feel the tension in his shoulders, the way his jaw tightened just slightly before he carried his bowl to the table and said, Don't forget your lunchbox today, okay? She smiled. I won't. That was Mike's way of saying this hurts, without putting that on her. Because Mike? He's never made her carry his feelings. Not once. Even now. Even with everything that's happening. This time they went for ice cream. I sat at a nearby table pretending to scroll my phone while watching every interaction like a hawk. Not because I thought Jessie would do something wrong. He hadn't given me a reason to distrust him. But because I was watching her. How she moved around him. How she listened. How she smiled. And this time she asked him questions that cut a little deeper. Why didn't you want to see me before? He blinked, visibly shaken. I was scared, he said. And selfish. And I didn't understand what I was giving up. She nodded like that made sense. Then asked, Are you gonna leave again? He paused. I don't want to. But I know I hurt you. And if you ever don't want to see me, I'll listen. She said okay. Then went back to her sundae. Kids are like that, so much older and younger than they seem. That night she drew a picture of Jessie, Mike, and me. We were all holding hands. She gave Mike a crown. She gave Jessie glasses he doesn't wear. And when I asked her about it, she said, Because Mike's my forever dad. But Jessie's kind of like my first dad. Like a bonus one. That sentence undid me. Because it was her answer. Not mine. Not Mike's. Not Jessie's. Hers. Later, Mike sat on the edge of our bed, staring at the floor like it had something to say. He finally asked the question I knew was coming. Does she still want me to adopt her? I sat beside him. Quiet for a moment. Then said, I don't know. I haven't asked. I think I need to hear it from her, he said. Not just you. Not just what we think is best. I want her to choose me. Not just inherit me. That word choose landed hard. Because for years we had operated like that decision had already been made. Now suddenly we weren't so sure. The next day Mike took her to the bookstore. Just the two of them. Is their thing? Graphic novels, silly bookmarks, hot chocolate from the attached cafe. They came back with a stack of books and big smiles. Later that night she slipped a folded paper into his hand. He opened it. It was a card. Inside, in her slightly crooked handwriting. You're my real dad. I want that to be forever. Please still adopt me. Mike didn't cry. Not then. But he hugged her like he never wanted to let go. And I watched the man who showed up day after day get the one thing he never asked for. Validation. Not from me. Not from a court. But from the girl who had always been his. We moved forward with the adoption. We explained to Jessie what it meant. That it wasn't about erasing him or pretending he didn't exist. It was about legally recognizing what had already been emotionally true for years. To my surprise, he didn't fight it. He said, she deserves to feel anchored. I'll still be around if she wants me to be. And that was it. No drama. No scenes. Just growth. Maybe even grace. The day we went to court, she wore a dress she picked herself and a crown she made from cardboard and gold glitter. When the judge asked if she knew why she was there, she said, Because I'm making it official that he's my always dad. Everyone in the room cried, including the court reporter. And when the papers were signed, she whispered to me, Now everything makes sense. And I believed her. Because sometimes, a child just knows. This isn't the story of a man swooping back in and tearing a family apart. This is the story of a little girl who got to ask hard questions, and got honest answers. Of a man who made a mistake but didn't try to rewrite the past. Of another man who showed up when it was thankless, hard, and quiet, and kept showing up even when it hurt. And of a mother who had to let go of control just long enough to watch her daughter find her own truth,